Moshi Moshi. Um, I'm back for another talking session. So essentially, I've been MIA. Just a little update. Because of schooling, I am in a surgical tech program, and this was the last module before clinical. So I've been very busy. And then we also had to do all like the clinical paperwork um, this module. So it's just like meeting after meeting, session after session, paperwork after paperwork, and just getting all these things done. Lots of training. Um, so that's been my life for those past 3 months. I believe the last time I uploaded was in between that break I had in the module. So here I am again during another break before clinicals begin. But essentially, for today's talk session, I would like to dive into what I feel like it's kind of like the new era for women. I mean, at least I believe so. At least for me, I believe so. Um, like, I feel like we're entering this sort of thing where many people want to break away from the traditional roles um, when it comes to relationships, when it comes just to for themselves, um, family stuff, kind of, and just really adding that separation when it comes to relationships and creating those boundaries. Um, like, for example, for me, I have this mindset now that I, for example, I have kids. I have kids, but I will not stay in the role of the housewife per se. I still work, but like what I have been going through, it's more so I was the one working and still, it's my place, it's my home, it's my kids. So I would still come home, clean, prepare food, um, help them with whatever they needed, and then get them ready for bed. But then when you have that other person that wants like that attention and kind of just like, oh, what's gonna be? I don't even know how to explain this. It's more so like there's a partner or like the father figure of like the child or whatever. I'm trying to put this as vaguely as it can. And there's no initiative when it comes to prepping dinner. That person may or may not have been working. So you would think that person would want to take some sort of initiative to really help you out. Um, but it was more so I'm just sick of like feeling like I'm being leached off of. Um, and being the only one who is worrying about or keeping track of like bills, appointments, all this shit that needs to be done. If I'm being asked to make a list of things I need to get done or something I like to get done, I'm already like, no, I am not doing that. I believe it also just falls with the way I grew up. I grew up to be very independent. Um, Parent wasn't always home. I would take initiative as the second oldest to clean up around then and there at the home, wash dishes then and there, um, make things for my younger siblings. Also, while trying to like fend off a older sibling who was not the best. So for me, these days, I cannot deal with incompetence. I cannot. I am surprised and shocked that there are people out there that don't have common sense and this and that. And I don't necessarily want to say it's because they grew up in like a better environment because a lot of people did not. It's almost like the same situation, but it was more so like they weren't necessarily doing anything to make the situation better. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's just me being really mean, but I can't. I cannot deal with the incompetence. I cannot deal with people who have no common sense. I just cannot. Like, I'm so over it. And me, for example, I am okay with living alone. Like, I'm always on, like, not I'm always, what I see always online when I am online is men complaining about women wanting to live their lives because they have kids or whatever. Like, first of all, women are not property, okay? Because we have children, it does not mean that we lose ourselves. You know, we are still allowed to be our own person. Okay, I had a BRB. Um, I forgot where I was at. Oh yeah, we are allowed to still go out and have fun. Okay. People are always complaining that oh, they say like, oh, I see these comments all the time, like, oh, I feel bad for your kids, I feel bad for your family. Like, for what, honestly? um because they want to go and enjoy themselves. If men were to do what women do in a household, um honestly, they just leave. They leave. They don't want to do it. They do not want to do it. They do not want to do it. They will simply leave, okay? They will leave. And then it'll turn to well, you made me like this type of thing. No. Um but I feel like I am over everything. I am over people trying to leech on to me, whether it's family, I don't care who it is, just anybody. I sense it and I cannot deal. I cannot deal. Okay. Even when it comes to like some friends, um, how can I put this? Like, how can I put this? It's some, no, how can I put this? I don't, oh no, it's not them. It's more so, okay. No, 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 no. It's not even my friends. Sorry. Wrong person. I just didn't want to like really put the spotlight on somebody. So I'm just gonna say she, even though it may or may not be a she, he, whatever. Okay. That's the paletero man. Um, how can I put this? I lost my train of thought. Um, but like for example, oh yeah, the bullshit. I cannot stand bullshit. So what I'm trying to say is there is someone who will complain about things, complain things aren't going their way, complain about this and that, think they're better than what is being offered to them. Like, for me, I grew up feeling embarrassed about a lot of things, very small things, very things that are so normal. Um, but then I came to a realization when I left the relationship I was in at that time that there is no such thing as embarrassment, okay? People go through a lot of bullshit and just a lot of things mentally and handle a lot of things mentally that people find so taboo to even bring up to discuss. And I feel like that's like that goes back to the thing that not a lot of people care about mental health, um, and stuff like that. It's more so just like, you know, um, so for me during that time, that's why I felt like I had to move out of state because my fam, they did not understand um the fuckery that I didn't want to deal with anymore. They were just like, why not deal with it? You know what I mean? I was constantly thrown that mindset that this is as good as it's gonna get. Settle. Um, deal with it. And to the point where I was like, why should I have to? I don't want to be dealing with it. So, anyways, going back to that, um, that person will complain about this being so bad and that being so bad, and I get it. I get it. I've gone through lots of bad things in my life that I've always thought of. I'm never gonna get out of this. How are things supposed to get better? You know, I want things to get better, but it's like you're just so stuck, and like when things aren't ever really ever going your way and you feel like at the time your path is being controlled by that one person, so you're just going to be stuck there, but also because it's very hard to leave and to especially get out of that mindset and really come to the realization that nothing is going to change unless you do something for yourself, um, being ready and becoming ready and accepting change is a decision. It's scary, and that's why a lot of people tend to just stay in on that road of comfortability because nobody wants to experience how scary change can be, especially because of the unknown. You don't know how things are going to turn out. People are almost like embarrassed to try, but it's more so embarrassing to not try your best and to get out of the situation you want to be. Because for me, if I'm hearing somebody complain about something, but then it's like, I don't see what you're doing um, to achieve what you want to achieve, then I don't want to hear about it anymore. Like I can only give so much advice, and I'm guessing they want advice because if they're constantly bringing it up to me or to whoever, but it's just the same complaint, the same lines every single time, and not enough of I'm doing this now, I'm doing that now. Oh my gosh, like I feel like this is really working out, and I'm excited for this. I'm not hearing any of that. All I'm hearing is they just want somebody to like constantly like I don't even know how to explain it, like to reassure them, or they want somebody to like hold their hand through it all, and it's not like that. You have to start somewhere. Change is scary. You have to start somewhere. Um, so that's my little rant about that. I don't know. I don't even know like the whole point of that was, but it was more so just like people, maybe just people playing like the victim most of the time, thinking they're just better than anybody, having that cold stuff mindset. Like men also will complain about feeling so lonely and how they're such a good person and this and that. But then it's like when you ask about how their past relationships went or something like that, or like what they're doing, it's like, oh, well, that makes sense to why it's not working out. But they don't want to hear that. They don't want to know that they're the problem. And that's the issue. A lot of people take zero accountability. Take accountability. That should be the motto. Take accountability. And I feel like for me, when it comes to my way of approaching conversations, I'm very blunt. I have no filter. I feel like I could be considered, I have been considered a bitch, and I do not blame them if that's the way they perceive me, you know? But I feel like some people have always just been like catered to and like, oh, like it's okay. Like, I don't know how, like babied almost. It's like, well, maybe that's why there is no moving forward or this or that, or take accountability and seeing what's the issue because you're constantly having somebody who is babying you and making it seem like it's not your fault, but when it is, you know? Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, if I'm being a certain way, like, for example, if I'm constantly complaining about something, but I'm not doing anything to change it, to change the route that it's going, I would want somebody to tell me bitch, you're the fucking problem. You're not seeing A, B, and C, and you're stuck at ground zero. Because then, how am I supposed to know how to move forward? Not how to move forward, but more so like, how am I supposed to get that reality check? And a lot of people need that reality check. So me, when it comes to telling people things, I will be very blunt. I if I sense that you're constantly bringing up the same issue, but you're not doing anything about it, I will tell you to your face. I will. And that's when I get told, oh my God, that's so mean. And it's like, well, the other approach you've been given to before has not been working. I'm not like that. I will show empathy and sympathy or whatever, when it's needed, when it's, appropriate, and if that's the right way to go. But sometimes people just don't need more of that. Okay, not every, but people expect to have their hand held through everything they go through in life, and that's not how it is. So me, going back to me again, maybe I have my other like come back to that, but I'm okay with being alone. I do not want to deal with stress if it's coming from another person, like a partner, for example. Um, because I'm just so over it. Like, I'm at that point in my life where it's like, I want to live alone. I just want to deal with the problems I give myself. I don't want to feel restricted. I don't want to have to I don't want to have to feel constantly annoyed and in that mindset that, oh my God, it's this pattern again, and constantly having to bring up that conversation because that person is not listening. So at that point, it will feel like I'm nagging to that person, but it's because, well, it hasn't been resolved. Women don't nag. I don't even like that word, but we don't do it to just do it. It's because we've brought this up as a conversation, and then it turns into a whole other thing that the other person tries to make it out to be, and then nothing gets resolved. So I want peace for me and my children. I want everything that I want in life. I know it's going to be up to me. I've learned that from, which I've talked about before, the toxic relationship I was in. I asked for help as a teenager, um, to my parent, and I honestly thought something was going to be done about it, like to help me out during that time, and it wasn't. So then I think I might have been, I think like 16 or 17 or so, when I was living on my own during that time. And yeah, I mean, as a teenager, I expected my parent to help, and when there was no help offered, I was just like, okay, I accepted the fact that I just need to do everything myself, and it's been like that. So during these days, when it comes to when I try to bring up something, because I'm like, okay, well, let me just talk about this, because it's good to talk about things. And I feel like I never really have anybody to talk about things to, because then the other person always ends up, oh, but I feel so bad for them. It's like, I'm telling you, I'm sharing with you because I'm confiding in you of how I'm feeling, how I'm being treated. Um, but yeah, you feel bad for that person. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand that mindset of how the person you're sharing something to is feeling bad for the other person. Like, I don't get that. Like, when my other friends are sharing something with me, I'm like, fuck that person. You know what I mean? Like, your feelings are completely valid. I am here to help you if you need help. I don't give some bullshit response of I feel bad for that person that is causing her the trouble, you know. Um I don't get that mindset. I really don't. I feel like I don't know. I feel like especially when it comes to like relationships, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, why help?" If they're just probably gonna go back to that person. And yeah, they might, but it's fine as long as they know there's somebody who is there who's willing to help once they are ready, because it takes more than three tries to get away from something like that. Like, it's not easy. It really isn't. And that's where I feel like mental health really plays a big role, because the brain is a really funny doozy thing that we carry onto our shoulders. And we, even like if we know something is bad, we constantly try to think about how it could be. We imagine this image. So this is what I tell my friends, it's more so like, um, we're holding on to the hope that of what that person could become, could be, because of glimpses of how they were before. But people change, mindsets change. I know mine has changed. And I feel like for the better. That is holding on to a false reality that isn't there. It's always like, oh, well, this person's going to change, this and that, because I love this person and they're so good to me. But it's to an extent where it's like, well, how good of a person are they? Because if they really are such like this great person, that they say they are, that you think they are, they wouldn't make you feel a certain way. You wouldn't have to constantly have to make, start up those conversations that, oh well, um I don't know how to even explain this. You wouldn't have to constantly bring up a problem if that person was willing to hear it out and actually take the initiative to understand what you're saying, and to really reflect about why you're bringing up a certain thing. um so that's where I feel like the accountability really comes back, because people just want to take accountability. And I've been told this, like, for example, a few times, like when it comes to not dealing with bullshit and stuff like that. I have been told a few times, oh, you're never on my side, and this and that. And I'm just like, because what you did was questionable. Um, there's no such taking sides. For me, it's like, what's reasonable and what isn't reasonable. I'm not going to side with somebody just because there's something to me. If they did some bullshit thing, I call them out for that. I do, because it's like, again, I'm not gonna let it slide. I can't do that. Um, so I hear this all the time. Oh, you're never on my side. And it's because, like, no, like, it's questionable. I'm not gonna be on your side. Like, I I can't. Like, I can't. No. Like, I usually, like, when it comes to like stories or like stuff that people share me, I like to understand the different point of views, and especially when you've known someone and they're known to, um change the narrative of what actually went on. You can't really, um know for sure that they're telling you the truth. So for me, I like to try and see everything, a conversation or something that happened, from different point of view. Um, because I'm not just gonna side with somebody just because I know them. Like, if my kids ever do something in the future, God forbid, but like if they were to do something, I am calling their ass out. Like, I do this all the time. Like when I was younger, and I say when I was younger, well, yeah, but um like, for example, like when even like it's like something so small, even like when it comes to kids, like there was a time my baby brother and my oldest were playing, And he was being a little punk, you know. He was taking the toys away from my baby brother, and I was like, no, you cannot be doing that. You need to share the toys. You need to play nicely together. You know, like that's like just a little example of what I think is like, you know, like just because he's my son doesn't mean I'm gonna let him do whatever the hell he wants. Okay, I he needs to be fair. Um, so start sharing. So that's something because a lot of people tend to see that their kids do no wrong, and that is not the case. If your kid is doing wrong, you need to get that kid some help. Because I've seen that a few times in some situations, and I'm just like, and they're like, no, my kid would never. My kid is so perfect, whatever, and they don't expect the kid to apologize for anything that they've done. And I don't like that, you know. I will call it out. But yeah. I don't know. I just feel like also like when it comes to I don't know, like I have these like two classmates of mine have become really good friends of mine, and I feel like there have been times, well, a time where like one of them felt a certain way, and she did bring it up the following day or something like that, and talked about it, you know, and it's like, oh, it wasn't like that at all, you know, it was more so we were all in a certain mindset, and we were chilling in the car, and then you know, kind of like how some people start feeling a certain vibe, or I don't know, something like that, or like you know, like their mind just you know starts to take over. I get that, I really do. So when she brought that up, we just reassured her that it wasn't like that, you know. And it's like for me, like to them, like when them two are really getting into something, and I cannot like I don't know anything about what they're talking about or stuff like that. I just you know like let them groove it out, you know. They're vibing at that time, but I don't necessarily make that or let that make me feel a certain way because I know it's you know everybody's going to click more on some topics compared to others. You know, for me, I don't have lots of experience when it comes to certain things, and other people do. And that's usually when I'm just like, you know. um, but yeah, I feel like the world is changing. I feel like people want kids, don't want kids. Who the fuck cares? It's a woman's decision. Women are not property. Okay, we are not property. If a man ends up single in their life, then you end up single in your life. Okay, don't start blaming women um for you not having a partner or whatever. Like I don't understand. Like especially when it comes to our time and like when people start wanting to like be in like your circle. I don't want to say world, more so like circle or like make you want to be a part of like the life thing type of thing, like the life vibrancy. They start to feel very entitled. And I have people like that's why I keep my notifications off. I don't like getting notifications from especially from social media. Like I could give zero F's about like social media. Like I like to post things, like certain pictures, stuff like that. But I'm not gonna use it as like a social networking platform. I keep my notifications off. If I feel like messaging you, I'll message you. If I don't feel like messaging you, or if I see your message, I'll ignore it and I'll reply to it whenever the heck I want to. But that's because I have zero social battery. I have a zero social battery. I really do. Like my social battery is like within seconds. Okay, like I don't have the mental capacity to be always on my phone either. I keep my phone silent. I will use that do not disturb. I use it vigorously. If I'm working out, fitness mode. If I'm sleeping, sleeping mode. If I don't want to be disturbed, because I just don't want to be disturbed, do not disturb. Um, I feel like people just become very entitled to your time, and then you start getting like spammed, and it's like, ew, don't do that. I'll respond to you when I respond to you. Um, I'm a busy person, you know, I have school, stuff like that. And sometimes my mental capacity and what I could handle mentally, it's just not there sometimes. Sometimes I just want to just not respond to anybody, and that should be completely fine. And nobody should ever have to make you feel bad for that, like if I were to ever get a message like, "Oh, I feel like you're ignoring," like, yeah, motherfucker, I am because I'm going through it, and but don't take that personally. Like nobody should take anything personally when it comes to stuff like that. Be understanding of what people could possibly be going through. So yeah, the world's changing. People's mindsets are changing. Like if I could create a compound of just women and helping women out, I would do it. I would do it. Because I'm the type, if I see something, I will say something. There have been times I'm driving by in the car. There was a guy trying to like stop his partner or something from like just simply walking away because he was like, "No, I want to talk now," type of bullshit. And I rolled down my window and I was like, "Leave her alone. Like, what do you think you're doing? You know?" And he's like, "Oh, well, she doesn't want to talk to me." And I was like, "So she doesn't need to talk to you. Give her the space she needs. Let her be fucking free. Like, don't start forcing her to have a conversation when she doesn't want to, especially when she's in distress, you know?" And then, so yeah, I asked her if she was fine. She said yes. And I was like, "Are you sure?" She said yes. And I was just like, okay. And I told the guy, I was like, "She's not your fucking property. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't do that. Like, men are not entitled to a woman. That's all I gotta say. Men are not entitled to a woman." Um, but yeah, that's my little talking session for today. I have to go do some stuff, and I hope somebody could relate to whatever I'm saying, or even like, I don't know, you know. But yeah, so talk to y'all next time. I'll have a more organized thing to talk about. But I just wanted to get on and like just rant about stuff that has been bothering me. So yeah, bye bye, y'all.